What inspired you to come to Yosemite?
Yosemite is one of the few climbing meccas in the world, and it's the last one that I haven't been to, so
Yeah.
it was just totally obvious. Like, this is the must.
Yeah.
And I've been planning on making the trip like for so many years, and finally this year it worked out.
Is it sort of like a dream come true? What are some of your favorite things here in the valley so far?
Like, most of all, I just wanted to see the valley, to see the Camp Forest, like be impressed and humble just looking at
Yeah.
the El Cap, and it all just was completely true. It's like even more impressive than I was imagining, and especially the climbing is harder than I expected. Like, I expected the climbing to be super hard and the rock to be slick and stuff like this, but in reality it's all just so much even harder. So that's cool. I get my ass kicked, but
Fuck yeah.
but it's motivating. It's something new, and I got to learn a lot.
What have you learned from other climbers while you've been here?
For sure, like the late, so many things like off widths and laybacks and stuff. Like, sometimes other people just
New styles
watch
of
you.
climbing.
Yeah, some things you just have to find your own yourself, and some tricks can be helpful.
Cool. What are you working on right now? What are some of your projects while you're here?
Yeah, so the obvious goal was doing the dawn wall, and also one of the big dreams of mine that I would like to try is the Salate, trying to
yeah.
on-site it. So I'm still saving my on-site of Salate for the end of the trip, I would say, and right now I'm just working on a dawn wall and trying to get the moves, to get the pitches, and be prepared in a few weeks to give it a good try for one single push.
How is progress coming along? You talked to Tommy Caldwell a little bit earlier today, who did the route. Did he have anything?
We were discussing a lot of betas, and because betas are very important on this route, because it's just so technical, and you have to know every centimeter of every pitch to be able to climb it like efficiently and well. And some of the moves, if you don't know it 100%, you can't even do the single move. So in certain sections I've already spent a lot of time like having pretty much like no idea what I should do. So Tommy gave me some tips and about the beta, about like certain moves, how to make them, but at the same time I was not very lucky with the conditions. I was there when my skin was not perfect, or it was too warm, or both of this. So right now I would say the progress was not that great, but at the same time I chose like a bold and good style, not to go from the top and fix the ropes, but just to go and free and 8 climb just through the route, and to kind of make the fixed rope justified, which I think is much more valuable style. So right now we have the fixed lines fixed to the top of the pitch 16, which is the end of all of the crux pitches, and just working the shit out of it, which is hard so far, but hopefully with the good conditions tomorrow and better skin, I took 2 days off, it's gonna be better. So right now I can't really tell how close or how far I am to actually climb the route, but let's see, that's exciting at the same time.
How's 8 climbing going on the dawn wall? Like, can you place any goal?
It was entertaining.
I mean, like jumping around.
Like, I was trying
copperheads
to
must
free
be-
climb as much as possible, and only when I thought it was too dangerous I just started 8 climbing. It had some fixed gear like copperheads and beaks, which I was really grateful for. Like, they most of the time they were too far to reach from one to another, but I was using free climbing skill to get in between. I think the hardest part was maybe the top of pitch 16, which has like just 5 meter run out from the last peak to the anchor. And there's one beak placement, but in between for my 8 climbing skills there was nothing.
Yeah.
Maybe, but probably there's something, but I pretty had no idea what to place there. So I had to
Yeah.
free climb like 3 meters, then place a beak from like a hanging position, and then unclip a hammer from my harness, hammer it in, and take in. So that was
Cool.
probably the
Yeah,
most
sounds
scary
scary.
part of the whole ground up.
For people who don't know what a beak is, could you explain that and a little bit more about ape climbing and what you've learned here?
I don't actually know what the beak is myself. It's just piece of metal that you just hammer inside the crack, and
It's
it
supposed
doesn't
to
look
hold-
very safe when you look at it. I mean, I think it's pretty good for 8 climbing, just on like straightforward pulling, but I don't think this gear performs very well for big falls.
Well, you're from the Czech Republic, and some of the climbing in the Czech Republic is famous for using rope knots.
Yeah.
Have you done any of that?
Yeah, I climbed a bit on the Czech sandstone, and I haven't placed many rope knots. Because there you can always choose, like some of the climbs are very bold, but there's pretty much nothing to place in between. You have to make just the big runouts in between the bolts.
Yeah.
Some routes that climb the cracks are protectable, but only if you know how to use the knots, which are like way more difficult to use them if you have zero experience compared to cams.
Yeah.
So I have pretty much zero experience in that. So if I ever climbed some cracks, I was pretty much more like just running out and
Yeah.
not flipping anything and wait for the bolt to come.
Is Yosemite your first big wall experience, or do you have a little more?
I think the highest wall I've ever climbed before going to Yosemite was maybe 600 meters.
Mm-hmm.
So quite close, but nothing I would call a real big wall.
Yeah.
El Cap is the first one.
Cool.
What is your favorite American food?
Have
What's American food?
Have you tried any like hot dogs or burgers? Or
Well, I had one
Steaks and
burger
potato.
here in the cafe and didn't like it very much.
I think those burgers are really terrible.
Yeah, I would agree. But we were hungry and we were too lazy to cook. But usually, I just prefer cooking.
Don't try McDonald's. I think it's
Well, we've
it's
got
as weird-
McDonald's
it's
in
as
Europe
bad
too.
as in Europe, yeah.
I would say do try Five Guys if you get the chance. It's fast food, but it takes longer than McDonald's, and it's really, really good.
Which one?
Okay.
Five Guys.
I don't know that one.
He's like, nah.
So you're a beginner climber. Is there anything you would want to ask one of the world's best climbers?
Man, I don't even know where to start. Okay, so how long are you expecting to be up on the Dawn Wall?
I've got 1 month left of my trip, and I expect to use pretty much most of my trip on the Dawn Wall. But then on the final push, let's say I still need a couple of weeks to work it, and then going for the final push, I mean, it would be very nice to do it in 5-6 days, but I have no clue if this is too ambitious or not. Let's see.
Do you think it's ever possible to do it in one day?
I think it is. It's
It
just sick as hard.
Yeah.
Super hard. Like everything would have to be perfect. You
Yeah.
would. I think the skin is the biggest issue.
Yeah, probably.
It's hard to climb the 13 pitches up to the crux traverses and still having a good skin,
Yeah.
or like at least good enough skin to pull on those tiny razor blades. And then you can't spend too much time in order to be able to climb the rest of the climb
Probably.
still in 24 hours. So I think it's possible. Maybe it will motivate me one day, but it will still take months and months and months
Yeah.
of dialing the route into the perfection. But it's kind of obvious goal. Like
Do it in a day.
first, yeah, I think it's totally obvious because with the history of El Cap, first it was 8 climb by Harding, then it was climbed in a day by Bridwell.
Yeah.
Then it was free climbed by Lynn. Then it was free climbed by Lynn in one day. So then we moved on into the harder parts of El Cap. So now Dawn Wall was free climbed, but the next obvious step would be do it in one day. But even though, no matter how ridiculous it just sounds,
It has. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure somebody can do it one day.
So there's
If not me, somebody else.
Who do you think the rising stars come? So, Chris Sharma kind of was the star, and then he kind of mentored you a little bit, didn't he? And what do you think about the future of climbing? Who do you think are the rising stars?
For sure, Alex Megos is incredibly strong and quite, and also pretty universal. He can do bouldering, sport climbing. He did a little bit of multi-pitch climbing, already now recently some tread climbing, so that's pretty impressive. And then the whole new generation, which are now in their teens, there are just too many, so I can't really.
Would you consider asking Alex to be your partner for the Dawn Wall to do it in one day?
Alex Megos?
Yeah.
Wow, it would be crazy. Yeah. I'm not sure if he's psyched for Yosemite, but I mean, I think in a couple of years, why not? Or
Yeah.
I haven't talked to him yet, but I think we would be a great team. That's for sure.
That would be, yeah, I think that would be amazing. Could you tell anything to maybe new climbers how to stay psyched and how to develop through climbing? Any advice?
I think the psych in climbing is kind of natural. Like you either have it or not. If you're not psyched for climbing, it's probably not your sport. To make it more interesting, I think it's nice to just switch the discipline sometimes, not be like too focused in one climbing style or in only one climbing discipline. For me, that's always been very important. Like I like competitions, for example, but I would never ever be able to like pursue in the competitions for like 10 years doing every single World Cup. I just admire people that do it, but at the same time I kind of don't understand it. Like the call of the outdoors is too strong for me.
Is getting outside a very important part of climbing for you?
Yeah, definitely. I just love just staying here, not even climbing, just resting and being in a beautiful place.
You said that you had gone to all the other climbing meccas like around the world. So where's your favorite places?
Well,
That's
for
a hard
sport
question.
climbing, it's Flatanger in Norway.
How about for bouldering? Where's your favorite place for bouldering?
Font.
Font.
Yeah.
I keep telling you should go to Bishop. That would be.
Yeah. It's definitely a must place to go. I haven't really been to many places in the US, and Bishop is definitely on the list.
I would love to tell you some of my favorite places to go in the U.S. because I think the U.S. is almost the size of Europe, and we have so many wonderful places. I know you went to the Red, but the New River Gorge is also really amazing. There's a lot around in Chattanooga. Red Rocks is just incredible.
I was in Red Rocks.
Oh, you've
I
been to
really
Red
liked
Rocks?
it. Yeah.
What were some things you did in Red Rocks?
Well, we did a little bit of sport climbing, and then I tried Meadowlark Lemon and bouldering around there. Pretty good.
Yeah.
So there's so many still unclimbed lines on like 8 climbs on El Cap. Do you think, or in general in Yosemite, do you think these could be free climbed as well?
For sure.
Do you think that could be like the new Dawn Wall, like something?
I don't know. I'm
super-
probably not the right person to ask, but because I have almost zero experience of El Cap itself,
Yeah.
it's better to ask Tommy because he's done so many routes and he can kind of expect better from underneath, like if there are holes or not.
That's true.
But I'm definitely sure that the potential of free climbing on El Cap is not finished.
Yeah.
Good.
Good.
Cool. Unless you have a question you want to ask.
I understand all the words.
Lost in translation. Thanks a lot, Adam.